So this śāstrī is very philosophical. That the Bhagavad Gita gives us the elementary information, the ABC, and is our main guideline. But how to bring this in practice, we have nectar of instruction, which is more practical, and even nectar of devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, is very practical. That's the manual for the devotees. But śāstrī gives us knowledge. It's an Upanishad that spiritual knowledge. In Bhagavad Gita, we learned in the purport 9.2, I think, of the Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada says that, yes, religion without knowledge is sentimentalism, that of fanaticism. And philosophy without practice is dry speculation. But knowledge has a very important function because it supports our faith. That faith and knowledge go together. We have learned in the nectar of instruction, in the purport of verse 5, and we have learned in also in the Bhagavatam, 3 classes of devotee. The Prakriti Bhakta, this is the beginner. He has practically no faith, a very weak faith, and no knowledge. And that's a dangerous position. Where the Madhyamadikari has a strong faith and knowledge, but not perfect. And the Uttamadikari has perfect knowledge and fully surrendered. That so knowledge is important. Now, this śāstrī, a few words about the history of the book. You will see we will discuss now first śāstrī, the introduction. This introduction is a lecture that Srila Prabhupada gave in London. In the 60s, at the end of the 60s, he sent some disciples to London that to start a center. 3 Grihastha couples. That but during Srila Prabhupada's visit, he gave a lecture in Conwell Hall. This is a hall in the center of London. And the audience were mostly devotees, Gujaratis, most devotees who were living in London. So it was more or less an Indian audience. And he gave this talk about the teachings of the Vedas. And that lecture was transcribed and was put just as an introduction of this book. Interesting. That and then the commentaries of these mantras know that Srila Prabhupada started in the 1940s already back to Godhead. And he wrote a series of articles on Sri Upanishad, commenting on each of these mantras. Because this Upanishad is one of the rare Upanishads that addresses directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead. it's personalism, this Upanishad. And by using its commentaries were such that it was meant to defeat impersonalism in the hearts of the people. And he published his commentaries in different issues of Back to Godhead. His first issues in black and white, that they are all in the archives now. That and these commentaries were taken from Back to Godhead and put in a book form. So the lecture comes from a lecture he gave in London, and the commentaries come from Back to Godhead. And that was put together in a book. And that's today, she is Upanishad. That about the history, how this came about. Now, in the introduction, there, Srila Prabhupada starts speaking about what are the Vedas. What are the Vedas that and he speaks about the Vedas are free from 4 defects: cheating propensity, illusion, mistake, and limited senses. He speaks about Mahatma Gandhi, who made many mistakes. He said that an assistant warned Mahatma Gandhi, don't go to the new Delhi meetings. I have some friends and I've heard there is danger, but he did not hear. That, another defect that we have is we are all in illusion. We are in Maya. Well, a devotee said to Prabhupada, by your mercy, we are now of the path of liberation. Otherwise, we would have been in Maya, he said to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada replied, you are always in Maya. That is our situation. We are always in Maya. Unless we think of Krishna, we are in Maya. That the third defect is the cheating propensity. That so the problem is we don't even know who we are. That we don't know our own position. That one cannot write books on philosophy when one is defective. It's cheating, Prabhupada says. And our senses are imperfect. People say, can you show me God? But they don't consider, do we have the eyes to see God? Are we qualified to be God? That so yes, now that the Vedas you may call the Vedas Hindu, he says, but Hindu is a foreign name. So Hindu, that was a name given by the Muslims, who said those who are they were referring to those who were living at the other side of the Indus River, the Hindus. That, but Prabhupada says our real identification is Varnashram. We are followers of Varnashram. And that is described in the Vedas. And Prabhupada speaks about the Vedas. I will share with you first. So, the Pastana Traya in Vedanta. You have the śruti, the smriti, and the nyaya. The śruti is apaurisaya. That's the term we have already heard before. Apaurisaya means not from human origin. That and this refers to the Vedas. The Vedas, we know, they were given by the Supreme Lord to Brahma through the heart. Teni Brahma Hridaya Adhikavaye, set in the Bhagavatam. They were revealed to the heart. But these Vedas have 4 constituents or parts. The first is a Samhita. This is the text. So you have the you have the 4 Vedas, the Rig Veda, Atharva Veda, Sama Veda, and the Yajur Veda. 4 Vedas. And each of these 4 Vedas is Shruti, but the original text is called the Samhita. And Brahmins used to pronounce this Vedas, but the power of the hymns would depend on the proper pronunciation of the Veda, of the text, the Samhita. So how to properly pronounce this Samhita? Therefore, there was for each Veda it's called Brahmanas. Brahmanas has nothing to do with Brahmins. Brahmanas here refers to the commentary on the Samhita, explications how to pronounce this Samhita. And this, for each of these Vedas, there were jagyas, fire sacrifices, big sacrifices they organized for each of these Vedas with many Brahmins, 4 Brahmins, and a Brahma who was overseeing the other priests, that 4 priests, and a Brahma priest who was overseeing. But how to conduct these jagyas, that is explained in the 3rd part of each Veda. It's called the Aranyaka. Aranya means forest, because these sacrifices were performed in the forest. Because if something would go wrong, it could burn, the whole thing could burn down. And in these Aranyakas, it is described which spoon to use, the ladle, and the mantras to be said, and the whole procedure of the jagya is explained there. And then the 4th part of the Vedas, for each Samhita, is the Upanishads. Now we come to the Upanishads. That's the knowledge which is which is supporting this Samhita of the Vedas. But each of the Vedas had many Samhitas, many Upanishads. So there are 4 Vedas, the Rig, the Atharva, the Yajur, and the Sama. But if we look at the Yajur Veda, that has different Upanishads. And one of the Upanishads explaining the Yajur Veda is Sri Upanishad, which we are discussing today. So that's an Upanishad related to the Yajur Veda. So that is the Shruti, and it's Apuraseya, it's not from human origin. But then you have the Smriti. These are the commentaries by the self-realized sages, which we find in the Puranas. There are 18 main Puranas. And the highest Purana is the Bhagavad Purana of Srimad Bhagavatam. Itihasas, like the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, the Pancharatnas, how the Narada Pancharatna, that explains how to perform deity worship in all these aspects. The Dharma Shastra, the guidelines for human beings, which were explained by the Manas. That so yes, these are Smriti texts interpreting the Shruti text, is here mentioned. And then you have the Nyaya, the Vedanta Sutra, the logic that written by Srila Vyasadeva, the Brahma Sutras, and the commentary of the Vedanta. The sutras are aphorism, very cryptic. You need a commentary to understand it. Atato Brahma Jichnas. Now you have the human form, and you should inquire about the absolute truth. Ham Brahmasma, we are spiritual, a spirit soul. Janmayasya, the absolute truth means the cause of everything. And so there are different sutras, and they need explication, commentaries. So every recognized tradition in India has a commentary on Vedanta. And we have the Bhagavatam is the original commentary of Vedanta. Because the first aphorism of the Vedanta is Janmadhyasya. And the first verse of the Bhagavatam is Janmadhyasya yatam vayatitayatessa dissa bhihaskarat tena brahmaridaya adkavimriyantyatsoya. So that's a commentary. It defines immediately the absolute truth as the cause of everything. That, yes. These are the 4 Vedas. The Rig Veda. I took this from a course at university on Vedas and Upanishads. The Rig Veda, 1028 hymns, in total 10,000 verses arranged in 10 books. We are busy with for some time if you want to read that. Contains hymns to different deities, philosophical hymns. And the Sama Veda is an apology to the Rig Veda. The Veda will only be used in Soma sacrifices. It is said that when Garuda, the carrier of Vishnu, moves his wings makes the sound of the Sama Veda. It's very beautiful. I heard this once. It's very beautiful. And then you have the Yajur Veda, that are sacrificial formulas mainly written in prose. The formulas are recited during the sacrifice. See Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 12th canto, you have the story of Yajnavalkya who wanted new mantras. There, this history of the śāstrī Upanishad is mentioned. That, and then we have the Atharva Veda, domestic and philosophical hymns. Yeah. Okay, what does it mean for us? We are studying the śāstrī Upanishad. We have the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita, we can say, is Vedic. And Srimad Bhagavatam is the Vaishnava theology. And Chaitanya Charitamrita, a nectar of devotion, is the Gauda Vaishnava Siddhanta, the conclusion of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. That so we studying this normally in this sequence. So these four books that we are studying in the Bhakti śāstrī, they are sufficient. It describes the sadhya and the sadhana. Sadhya is the goal. Our goal is to develop love for Krishna. And sadhana is the way how to achieve that. And that is established, the basis of this sadhana, the philosophical basis is established through Bhagavad Gita and Śrī Upanishad. But how to come to that point in practice, the practical aspect of the sadhya and sadhana is explained in Nectar of Devotion and Nectar of Instruction. So by the study of these four books, we can attain perfection. Four books are enough. These are the four defects: cheating, propensity, illusion, mistake, limited senses. So about the Vedas, Srila Prabhupada writes also, the Vedas are axiomatic truth. There cannot be any mistake. And he gives an example also in lectures that the Vedas say that the stool of an animal is impure, but it says that the stool of a cow is pure. The Prabhupada writes, if you smear cow dung in an impure place, that place becomes pure. With our ordinary sense, we can argue this is contradictory. Actually, it is contradictory from the ordinary point of view, but it's not false. In fact, in Calcutta, a very prominent scientist and doctor analyzed cow dung and found that it contains all antiseptic property. So, at least in the time of Prabhupada, when someone said in India, it's a Vedic injunction, then it means you should accept it without argument. Of course, we are many years later now. So yes, these four defects. Now, the term Veda. The term Veda can be understood on different levels. Restrictive, average, of expansive understanding. If restrictive, we say it's the four Vedas, it's the Samhita of the four Vedas. That's it. Average understanding, it's the Vedic literature, all the Vedic literature. An expansive level, Veda comes from vid, means to understand. So it relates to knowledge, wisdom, so all knowledge. That's another way. That's also scholars, they are still disagreeing about what is meant with the Vedas, different understandings. So in the introduction, now we come to the introduction. This is an overview of the introduction. As we have four defects, we need the Vedas. That's the first 5 paragraphs. We discussed that already. The Vedas give universal and axiomatic wisdom. Now, Vedic knowledge is superior to Pradyaksha and Anuma. So, Pradyaksha and Anuma. So we have many Yeah. Pratyaksha means sense perception. Anuman means by thinking, by logic, coming to a conclusion. That, but we are dealing here with transcendental knowledge. And it cannot be understood, transcendental knowledge, by pratyaksha and anuman. Pratyaksha, because the Vedas deal with what's beyond our sense perception. And anuman, it cannot be understood by logic because it's translogical. It's beyond the mundane logic. It's not illogical, it's translogical. That we will discuss that also in this course, this concept that Vedas are translogical. But does that mean that Pratyaksha and Anuman has no use in spiritual philosophy? Yes, it has use when the philosophy agrees with Pratyaksha and Anuman. But for certain aspects, the translogical one, it will disagree. That so that's beyond logic. I remember someone asked Bhakti, can Krishna make Govardhan so heavy that he cannot lift it? And my Guru Maharaj said, yes, he can do it. And still he will lift it. So that is beyond our understandings. That, and then, because the Vedas and Krishna is the only way to know about the transcendental realm. So we can only know Krishna through Sabda Brahman. Sabda Brahman means transcendental sound vibration. And so all the Vedic texts, especially Bhagavad Gita, She is Upanishad, it's that and they are Sabda Brahman. Also the Bhagavad Purana, the Srimad Bhagavatam, every verse is Sabda Brahman, transcendental sound vibration. That's Sabda Brahman. Another name we used before is Shruti, spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Smriti are commentaries. So like the Mahabharata, the Itihasa, is written by sages. It's not apaurisaya, but within the Mahabharata, we have in the Bhishma Parva, there we have, yes, Bhagavad Gita spoken. Krishna speaks Bhagavad Gita, and that is Shruti, within the Smriti. That is spoken by Krishna. That because transcendental knowledge comes from beyond this universe. It comes from the spiritual sky. That so yes, therefore we must receive it to the Guru Parampara from the transcendental source without any change. That so like Bhagavad Gita comes directly from Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada said, I've presented it as it is, without any change. That as it is speaking without interpretation. That so that is Vedic knowledge, because Vedic knowledge is pure. That So that's there are two paths, the Aroha Panta and the Avaroha Panta. The Aroha Panta, to get knowledge, is the ascending path. We are trying to understand it by our own power, by our own knowledge, and like that go up. But with that ascending path, you cannot arrive to understanding anything transcendental. That the transcendental knowledge must come from the Avaroha Panta, must descend from the spiritual world. That Goloka Premera Dana Harinam Sankirtan comes from Goloka. The Hare Krishna mantra finds its origin, which is the essence of all Vedic knowledge, in Goloka Vrindavan. The gopis were chanting, doing kirtan, chanting Krishna's name when Krishna disappeared from the rasa dance. And Krishna was forced to appear again. And it was Lord Chaitanya who brought it to us from Goloka Vrindavan. In the same way, all the Vedas, they are coming from the spiritual realm. But we cannot understand the transcendental realm by our intelligence, by our material intelligence. It's not possible. Because the brain is material. Something material, you cannot understand something transcendental. With your brain, with the subtle body, with the intelligence, you can understand the Pradyaksha, Anuman, and so on. But the transcendental realm, how do we understand it? Krishna says, Bhakti amam abhijanti avnyasat mitatva tatumam tatvato gatva vishatet anantam. I can only be understood by Ananya Bhakti, pure devotional service. And then Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Tesham satayuknam bhajnampi devokam, padami buddhyontam yena mamupayanti te. That if you serve me with little love, Krishna says, then dadami, I give you that buddhi yoga, transcendental intelligence. How does he give that? Krishna gives that, not to the brain. He says, Tesham evanakampatam amapyana chamtama nasachamatma bhavastugyanatipanabashvata. He says, from within the heart, or from within the heart, with the jnana-dipana, with the torch of knowledge, I burn away all the impurities, all the ignorance. That our ignorance is removed from the soul. And then through the soul we get the understanding. That knowledge is revealed through the heart, where the soul is. Also Brahma receive it in the same way. Teni Brahma Hridaya Adakavaye, the first poet, the first human being, the first being, in not human being, the first being. Adakavaye. Teni Brahma Hridaya to the heart. He realized it to the heart. Krishna gave it to the heart. This is the same as Tesham Satayuktam. Our process is not different. But of course, we want to receive that knowledge. Krishna says, Priti Bhuvakam, a little love. But even that little love we don't have. But Krishna has made arrangement. If we accept the spiritual master and following his instructions nicely by performing sadhana bhakti, hearing and chanting about the Supreme Lord according to the order of the spiritual master, and we serve nicely. Krishna accepts that as a little love, pleasing the spiritual master. Pleasing the spiritual master is pleasing Krishna, the same. So yes, so Srila Prabhupada speaks about the history of the Vedas, how that it was divided into four, that Vyasadeva, he saw people in this age were short memory, so people could not remember anymore. So he divided the Vedas among different disciples. He divided in four, that but of course he was thinking, yes, most in Kali Yuga, most will be Sudras. They will not be able to understand the Vedas, to Mahabharata, and so on. That because in this age there are no qualified Brahmins, all Dvija Bandhus, born in a high family but not qualified. That yes. Anyway, that so Krishna is the ultimate goal of the Vedas. That's important, and that's also the purpose of this Upanishad. Of course, Krishna says, Vedasa sarva amiva vedya vedankit vidavite vacham. You say, I'm to be known by the Vedas. I'm the compiler of the Vedas. I'm the knower of the Vedas. So is the goal of the Vedas. That and so yes, therefore, this is explained in all Vaishnava commentaries and in the Vedanta philosophy. That then Prabhupada speaks about that every tradition has his commentary on the Vedanta philosophy. Of course, we have the Bhagavatam. That's a natural commentary on the Vedanta, but written by the same author, Srila Vyasadeva. But other traditions would not accept it. And once, a few centuries ago, in Jaipur, the Vaishnavas would be excluded from the worship of Govindaji, because they had no commentary on Vedanta. But then Baladev Vidyabhushan was sent to Jaipur, and he would to solve the problem. And the whole night he was with the deity of Govindaji and praying to Govindaji, and Govindaji dictated him a commentary on the Vedanta. So it was spoken by Govinda. Therefore, this commentary was later put into a book and was called Govinda Bhashya, was spoken by Govinda. That so by the mercy of Baladev Vidyabhushan, then the Vaishnavas could resume their worship for Govindaji. That, and Srila Prabhupada makes also point in this introduction, yes. Srimad Bhagavatam begins with the first words of the Vedanta Sutra, Janmadi Asya Jataha. And that Janmadi Asya is fully explained in Srimad Bhagavatam, in the first verse. We know that first verse, that Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati in Dhaka was 40 days. 40 days he was lecturing every day on this verse. That was quite just on this verse. Yes. So then there are also, of course, we know the 6 systems of philosophy. They are in nature atheistic. Nyaya and Vaisheshika. Nyaya is logic, and Vaisheshika is the atomic theory that everything is built up of atoms. That so they are supporting each other, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, and also Sankhya and Yoga. Sankhya is searching for the root of everything. That and yoga is the experience of that root. That's the idea. Sankhya makes it very clear we are spirit souls. Of course, the Sankhya from Kapila here is an atheistic Kapila. It's the original Sankhya philosophy we find in the Bhagavatam by Kapila Dev. And then you have Purnamimamsa. This is the Karma Kanda. Karma Kanda means Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. And Dharma, religiosity, Artha, how to get wealth. First you are religious, then you get wealth, and with that you can fulfill your material desires, and at the end attain moksha. That's the idea, liberation. But real liberation is realizing one's swarup, that one is a servant of Krishna. That then only the liberation is permanent. So this karma kanda is dharma, artha, kama, moksha. But for this, there is a need of philosophy. That this purna mimamsa, karma mimamsa, it's mistakenly put forward that karma is supreme. You do your work, and you will get your reactions. And Krishna uses that in Krishna book to convince his father not to perform the Indra Jakya, but to worship Govardhan instead. He says, this Indra, we don't need him. That if you have done good work, then Indra must give the good reaction. That yes, Mother Rukmini.
Maharaj, thank you so much for taking this topic. I always wanted to know that what is the internal reason why Krishna in the Govardhan Leela he was making his father Nand Maharaj understand about the Karma Mimamsa philosophy there. What is the internal reason, Maharaj? If you can please help me understand.
Well, Krishna wanted just to convince his father with in whatever way that he didn't explain that he was the Supreme Lord, and no, he played the role of a human being, and he used it to convince his father. That's all. That yeah. That then his father, of course, became convinced, and all the Vrajavadis wanted to please Krishna because they love Krishna. That so that is karma mimamsa. Karma is supreme, but we know Krishna is supreme. He controls Maya Dakshana Prakriti, but yeah, he's not going to disturb the love of the Vrajavasis by explaining that, because that will lower their love. No. So he used karma mimamsa. That, but of course, the uttara or the uttam mimamsa is the Bhakti Vedanta. Is the Vedanta, but finally, the highest Vedanta is the Bhakti Vedanta. That so interesting. These 6 darshans finally they bring us to higher and higher realm, and finally to Bhakti. That is what Srila Prabhupada one night in Vrindavan confidentially spoke to Bhakti Maharaj. He explained how this leads to Bhakti, all this, because Nyaya and Vaisheshika is preliminary knowledge and logic. But then to go deeper is yoga. What is our source? Okay, we are a spirit soul. To experience that, you perform yoga. And then finally it comes to the highest yoga, which is Bhakti Vedanta. Yes, Mother Anandita Jhanavi, please.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my respectful obeisances unto your lotus feet. Thank you for the very detailed description of Prabhupada's writings. Maharaj, I want to understand, I want a little more elaboration on Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Sankhya and Yoga. And you explained Karma Mimamsa very nicely. So how Uttam, Brahma Mimamsa is different from that?
Yeah, the Uttam Brahma Mimamsa is Vedanta. We have spoke about the Vedanta Sutras, the Brahma Sutras, but the highest Vedanta, Vedanta means end of knowledge, is Bhakti Vedanta. That's the highest. And that is the process of devotional service. And that is what factually this Uttara Mimamsa is about. It's about devotional service. So that is the Uttama Mimamsa. It means how to act. That's the Purna Mimamsa is acting piously on the Karma Kanda level. But that's not bringing us to the spiritual platform. One must then, when one is purified, at a certain moment, one wants to know, who am I? And surely, by the mercy of a pure devotee, one comes to the Uttara Mimamsa, the Vedanta. And of course, when we speak about Vedanta, that we know in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's Vedantas Tattvavitas Tattvam Jnanam Atvyam. Yeah. Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Brahmaniti, Sapyate. The absolute truth has three levels. Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan. So Vedanta you have also on these levels. But the absolute truth is fully realized in the Bhagavan aspects. Therefore, then only in the Bhagavan aspects you can know who Krishna is. So that is the highest Vedanta, the Bhakti Vedanta, which is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Maharaj. So, how to understand Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Sankhya? Is the you just explained that it's a progression from lower to top, lower to better, you know. So, can you said Sankhya is like the 24 elements, which Lord Kapila explains in third canto. Is it the same? But this is a different Kapila, right?
Yeah, so this Nyaya, Vaisheshika, and this Sankhya Yoga, they are twins. Like Nyaya is logic, and this logic is used in this Vaisheshika, this atomic energy, this atomic theory, that everything is consisting about atoms. It's going together. It supports each other. And Sankhya and Yoga also. Sankhya is the philosophy, Yoga is the practice. It's like religion and philosophy. Sankhya explains as the source, where we come from. That, of course, the real Sankhya is in the Bhagavatam by the real Kapila Dev. That, and we know Sankhya, Srila Prabhupada explains, also Lord Krishna explains in the 5th canto, 5th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, that Sankhya and yoga are non-different, he says. Sankhya means searching the root of existence, and that's Sankhya yoga. And yoga means watering the root. Of course, Bhakti yoga is the highest. Yeah, watering the root. That's the difference. So they are going together. Also, Vaisheshika uses Nyaya, to logic, to establish itself as a theory. That so Purna and Uttama Mimamsa is also a relation. The Karma Mimamsa, Karma Kanda explains how to act piously. That's first required. And then the Bhakti Vedanta explains how to act for the pleasure of Krishna, transcendental. There is also a relation. So there are some relationships. Of course, the most of these, all 6 darshans are atheistic. Of course, not a Bhaktivedanta, but it's atheistically explained. That means the Uttama Mimamsa is explained on the level of Brahman, but it should be explained on the level of Bhagavan, which includes Brahman. Anyway, it's a big topic and a big study. At the university, I studied these 6 darshans. I forgot most of it, but there are so many commentaries. But if you want to know more about it,
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
then-
Maharaj, this Uttam Brahma Mimamsa ideally doesn't include Bhakti Vedanta. But we, the Vaishnavas, because we know the highest goal of our life, and Bhagwan is the ultimate realization of God. So we understand this Uttam Brahma Mimamsa in the sense of Bhakti Vedanta, right?
Right, that's right.
Thank you for explaining. So,
But-
Maharaj, I had doubts in earlier slides also. I thought that you will be taking questions at the end, so I didn't ask.
Yeah, we will go back. But first, a last word on this. If you want to understand this 6 darshans in a proper way, then you read chapter 87 of the 10th canto. And the Vedas personified explain these 6 darshans and how to defeat the misconceptions within them. And Prabhupada comments also in Krishna book, chapter 87, everything is there. There you can understand them in a proper way. Yes. Any more questions? But, and on previous slides, you please ask.
I forgot. It was in the beginning. There was a term that it's apology of the Vedas. I cannot recall right now, but it was in the beginning slides.
Yeah, show the slides again. No problem. Pastanasta, yeah.
No, not in this. Yeah, this one. The Samved part. The previous one. Samved. The 4 Vedas. You have just shown the 4 Vedas.
Yeah.
Not this. The next slide. Yeah. The Samved, it's written is an apology to the Rig Veda. This Veda will only be used in Som sacrifice. So what does this term mean? Is an apology to the Rig Veda.
Yeah, apology means, yeah, I forgot the, I
No
just,
problem. No problem.
yeah. Yeah, just a moment. It's good that you asked this. Yeah, it's a matter offered in explanation or defense. So it's establishing the truth of the Rig Veda in defense. That is what it means, apology. Okay, good.
Thank you.
I
Thank
propose we have a pause for 10 minutes now, that because it's 4 p.m. here in Belgium, that it's still the afternoon. This, but in Delhi it's 8:20 to 8:32. So we will resume at 8:40 p.m. for the next section, which is the invocation of the Upanishad. Thank you.
So will Maharaj join after 5 minutes? What did he say? Haribol.
I will join at 8:40.
Okay, okay, okay.
Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna. So we will start now with the invocation. And that the invocation explains how everything is perfect and complete. So technically, this invocation is not a part of the śāstrī Upanishad, but it's a profound truth which is very consistent with the theme of śāstrī Upanishad. Śāstrī Isha, it's about Isha, the controller. So the comments of Srila Prabhupada, like I said, were originally a series of lectures in Bhakti. And there were purports there to the śāstrī Upanishad. So first I will recite the verse which you can follow in your book. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnam Adaya Purnam Eva Vasishyate. So the personality of Godhead is perfect and complete. And because he is completely perfect, all emanations from him, such as this phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. Whatever is produced of the complete whole is also complete in itself. Because he is the complete whole, even though so many complete units emanate from him, he remains the complete balance. So we see many times this word Purna. What is this Purna thing? That the Upanishads are enigmatic, means puzzling. They are mysterious. They are meant for intellectuals who like to speculate. But yes, what does it mean? So if you have infinity and you take out infinity, there is still infinity remaining. Like in mathematics, the set of all odd numbers is infinite. The set of all even numbers is also infinite. So the set of all prime numbers is also infinite. Although there is infinity, there are levels or gradations of infinity. Take out the odd numbers of the infinite, and still it remains infinite. This is how we understand the absolute truth. It remains complete. And material examples to illustrate that they are always imperfect. By taking out the odd numbers, the infinite does not become lesser. No. So the personality of God that is mentioned here remains perfect and complete. I mean, this is transcendental mathematics. 1 minus 1 is 1. And 1 plus 1 is 1. So that is the completeness of the absolute truth. And so we have here an overview of Prabhupada's purport. In the first verse he says, the Supreme Personality of God, it is the complete. Then he speaks about the absolute truth in the first paragraph. In the second, the material world is complete. Third, human forms offer complete facility. Fourth paragraph, sense gratification is illusory completeness. Devotional service is real completeness. So it's a short purport. I will read the paragraphs for you and then comment. Purport. The complete whole or the supreme absolute truth is the complete personality of Godhead. Realization of the impersonal Brahman or Paramatma, the super soul, is incomplete realization of the absolute complete. The supreme personality of Godhead is Satchitananda Vigraha. Realization of impersonal Brahman is realization of his Sat feature, or his aspect of eternity, and Paramatma realization is realization of its Sat and Sit features, its aspect of eternity and knowledge. But realization of the personality of Godhead is realization of all the transcendental features, Satchitananda, bliss, Sat, Chit, and Ananda, bliss. When one realizes the Supreme Person, he realizes these aspects of the Absolute Truth in their completeness. Vigraha means form. Thus the complete whole is not formless. If he were formless, or if he were less than his creation in any other way, he would not be complete. The complete whole must contain everything both within and beyond our experience. Otherwise, he cannot be complete. So here, the level of realizations and the aspect of the absolute truth they realize. So the Brahman is realized by the Jnani. He realized the Sat feature, that one is not his body but is spiritual. The Paramatma yogi realizes the same thing but has also some knowledge. He realizes that Paramatma is the controller of this material world. And in Bhakti, there is Satchit Ananda. Ananda is full knowledge of one's position and Krishna's position to a certain extent. And Ananda, that the eternal blissfulness. So this Ananda, realized by Bhakti, is described in Nectar of Devotion as Bhakti Ras, spiritual emotions experienced in relation to the service of to the devotional service of Krishna, and they are never ending. It's eternal, and that's really the goal. That so sorry, that's a little too quick here. That so this concept of completeness is completely analyzed by Srila Prabhupada. The absolute truth is not directly relating to a person, because the Upanishads is a transitional body that guides us from karma kanda, worship of Indra, etc., focusing on rejecting matter, bringing them to the spirit. That's the purpose of this Upanishad, of Upanishads in general. They are transitional, to bring one from the material to the spiritual platform, or the beginning of the spiritual platform. Srila Prabhupada follows that strategy in Sriyas Upanishad, and he does not mention the name Krishna in the purport. It's not there. Srila Prabhupada used the terminology of the impersonalist to bring them to the understanding of the personal realization of the absolute truth. It's very striking. According to the impersonalist, the subject matter and object, the stream of consciousness, is illusory. Impersonalists say that there is no performer. Impersonalist philosophy teaches that there is no being of consciousness. But the absolute truth is Satchitananda. But it's not always perceived as Satchit Ananda, because the Jnani perceives it only as Sat and the Yogi as Satchit. If Sat is perceived, the absolute truth, it's considered Brahman. Jnanis perceive this material world and recognize their longing to be eternal. Slowly, they come to the realization that beyond this world, there is something eternal. A sweet is cooked in the kitchen. A sweet from the kitchen, it has fragrance, it has sight of form, it has taste. When I smell the sweet, then I only get the fragrance. That it's like three men, blind men from birth. They examine an elephant, and someone has one of the legs and thinks, oh, an elephant is like a tree. It's very hard. That and another has the ears which are flapping, and it thinks an elephant is flapping. That another has the trunk always moving. So they have different ideas of what an elephant is, because they see only an aspect. They don't see the big picture. So it is not that the absolute truth is Sat. It is Satchidananda, but it is perceived as only Sat by the Jnanis. So therefore, I quoted this verse, Vadanti tatat vavasas tattvamakaranam atvaram brahmiti paramatmiti bhagavaniti sapyatam. Learned transcendentalists will know the absolute truth, call this non-dual substance Brahman or Paramatma. So Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan is all three the same absolute truth. There is no difference from the absolute truth. All three have Satchidananda, but the perceiver's perspective, the absolute truth is seen from different levels of completeness. So the sweet has three attributes, but one perceives only the fragrance. When the transcendentalist progresses, then he perceives also that Sit aspect. This is at the yogi level. One understands that the supersoul is in the heart of all living entities, and that the supersoul is conscious. That 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam says the absolute truth never blinks. It always perceives as the supersoul. There is no reciprocation in the form of loving pastimes. That joy is experienced by the Bhakta, Satchidananda. So the absolute truth is complete realization. In its complete realization, Satchidananda is realized only by the Bhakta. So Srila Prabhupada in his purpose. So when one realizes the Supreme Person, then he realizes aspects of the Absolute Truth in their completeness. So the complete whole is not formless. If it were formless, then it would not be complete. That we will discuss in a later verse the aspect of not having a form. The absolute truth is complete when Satchidananda is understood. Then it is understood when we focus on the Bhagavan aspect. The second paragraph talks about how this material world is complete in itself. But first, Mother Anandita Janava, please.
Thank you, Maharaj. Maharaj, there's a humble request that you are so senior. Please don't call me Mother. You can call me Anandita also only. And Maharaj, can you just let us know about the source from which you were reading so that we can go through once again?
No, this is I got from different lectures that. I can't recall a specific source here.
Okay, no problem. No problem. I thought that you're... No problem.
Yeah. So we will read now the second paragraph. The complete whole, the personality of Godhead, has immense potencies of which are as complete as he is. Thus this phenomenal world is also complete in itself. The 24 elements of which this material universe is a temporary manifestation are arranged to produce everything necessary for the maintenance and subsistence of this universe. No other unit in the universe need make an extraneous effort to try to maintain the universe. The universe functions on its own time scale, which is fixed by the energy of the complete whole. And when that schedule is completed, this temporary manifestation will be annihilated by the complete arrangement of the complete whole. That's the second paragraph. How the material world is complete in itself. That so yes, moment. I work on different computers. Yeah. So the taste, they say that there's so much right in this world, so there must be God. The arrangement of the material world must have come by some plan. Actually, it cannot be by itself. Does the taste say that there must be a divine intelligence? The atheists, they say there is so much wrong in the world. What is the need of so many waters falling into the water? Where is the benevolent arrangement? But arrangement of the clouds is complex and cannot be found on their own. From the observer's perspective, there is no operator seen, and there is no operator directly seeing intervening. So the Lord made the world in such a way that the world can go on its own. Man and woman create a child with the least supervision. The absence of a visible operator is not a proof that there is no higher intelligent supervision. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Vyomani Mayadhyakshata Prakriti, that if I take a cell phone and I decide to write a book with the cell phone, then I can get frustrated. I can curse the maker of the cell phone, saying that it is not suitable for writing a book. An intelligent person will say the cell phone is not made for writing a book. It is meant for communication of small text. Get a laptop computer and write a book. The purpose of a cell phone is not to facilitate writing books. The design has to be evaluated based on its purpose. A jail is a place where there is an arrangement for living and where there is suffering. Just because the jail means also suffering does not mean that there is no designer. The jail is meant to reform the inmates. So we see, just a few practical points to help you deeper understand this point. If we look at this world, the factory, the human body, we exhale, and we exhale a waste product, carbon dioxide. We're breathing out carbon dioxide. And this is a raw material for the plants who use it in their photosynthesis process because they need this carbon dioxide. And as a waste product from them, oxygen is produced. And that oxygen is a raw material again for the human body. And the cycle starts again. This is cycle for a symbiotic factory set up. Krishna's arrangement in this world. That yeah, that's for later. That. So I will read the second paragraph, just a moment. So yes, this is the cycle of a symbiotic factory setup. In nature, we see that there are human bodies give waste product that is raw material for cultivating plants. They in turn produce carbon dioxide. They produce oxygen. Human form and human rights. That let's continue reading the purport. All facilities are given to the small complete units, namely the living beings, to enable them to realize the complete whole. All forms of incompleteness are experienced due to incomplete knowledge of the complete whole. The human form of life is a complete manifestation of the consciousness of the living being, and it is obtained for evolving through 8,400,000 species of life in the cycle of birth and death. In this human life of full consciousness, the living entity does not realize its completeness in relation to the complete whole. He loses the chance to realize his completeness and is again put into the evolutionary cycle by the law of material nature. So to gain that completeness, that requires that we live in harmony with the absolute truth. And that is one of the important topics of this Śāstrī Upanishad. How to live in harmony with Isha, the controller of the material world. Further, because we do not know that there is a complete arrangement in nature for our maintenance, we make efforts to utilize the resources of nature to create a so-called complete life of sense enjoyment. Because the living entity cannot enjoy the life of the senses without being dovetailed in the complete whole, the misleading life of sense enjoyment is illusion. The hand of the body is a complete unit only as long as it is attached to the complete body. When the hand is severed from the body, it may appear like a hand, but it actually has none of the potencies of a hand. Similarly, living beings are part and parcels of the complete whole. We are part and parcels of Krishna with the complete whole. And if they are severed from the complete whole, the illusory representation of completeness cannot fully satisfy them. So the human form is complete when it is used for attaining enlightenment. And clothing, food, and shelter are animal rights. Providing them to humans is not a fulfillment of human life. So that brings us to a conclusion. In the human form, we can attain completeness. How can we do it? The slogan is, be apart, be not apart. Be a part. We are a part of Krishna. And act as a part of Krishna. Don't act separately from Krishna. Our completeness is dependent on Krishna's. Is dependent. And Krishna is the only really independent. Yes, Mamaivam Shoshiveloka Shiva Bhuta Sanatana. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 15, we are part and parcels of him. And if we act as part and parcels, we act in devotional service. And that means becoming dependent on Krishna. So if we act as a part of Krishna, then we are happy. So the last paragraph. Yes, Mandaleshwar Prabhu, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Maharaj, it is that mentioned that our completeness is dependent on Krishna's independence. Means, can you please explain?
Yeah, I come back to that. I just finish this paragraph and we will go deeper into that. So the completeness of human life can be realized only when one engages in the service of the complete whole. So that's the point. All services in this world, whether social, political, communal, international, or even interplanetary, will remain incomplete until they are dovetailed with the complete whole. When everything is dovetailed with the complete whole, the attached part and parcels also become complete in itself. So, but yeah, Rukmini, please.
Maharaj,
Yeah,
Srila Prabhupada loves to use word Krishna everywhere. I think you mentioned earlier also, but Maharaj, I want to know that why Prabhupada is mentioning here complete whole instead of Krishna.
Well, we explained that before. My internet is not stable. If I go offline, I will come online again. But these commentaries were made by Prabhupada in Back to Godhead, and his purpose was to convince impersonalists to take up Krishna consciousness, and to not to disturb them, he used their impersonal language to bring them to this point. And that is the reason. So I answer now the question of Mandaleshwar problem. The point is, why do we need to be dependent on Krishna? Because our completeness is a dependent completeness. The hand cannot do what the head is supposed to do. When the hand is cut off from the body, it cannot serve the body. We cannot love Krishna when we are cut off from Krishna. We are dependent on our connection with Krishna, on our connection. Like I've here iPhone, there are many apps. The apps work only and are only useful if they are connected with the internet. We are only useful when we are connected with Krishna in devotional service. We are dependent on that connection. So we see completeness materially and materially. But when one is young, one thinks one needs a partner to feel complete. So sense gratification keeps us incomplete because the pleasure is insignificant. The mind brings out foolish fantasies, playing with a toy. The mind starts tormenting us. We never get completeness through sense gratification. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, the illusory representation of completeness cannot fully satisfy them. The completeness of human life can be realized only when one engages in the service of the complete whole. That brings us to the point of devotional service. Because the living entity cannot enjoy the life of the senses without being dovetailed with the complete whole. The misleading life of sense enjoyment is illusion. It promises completeness, but it delivers perpetual incompleteness. We feel always unsatisfied in material life. When I get a new car, I feel happy, but until I see a better car, we never feel complete. It is misleading, the misleading life of sense gratification in illusion. We are limited. We try to enjoy on our own, but we cannot get complete enjoyment because Krishna is infinite. By connecting with Krishna, we attain completeness. That is the way to completeness, and that is devotional service. So that was my presentation on the invocation, which is, I think, a key memorization verse for you. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyati. Mandalishwar, please.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Prabhu Maharaj, you told that there is this Ishwara could understand by only by heart, not by our brain, because human brain is metal. It's not spiritual, but it could be
Right.
understood. It can only understand by the only by the association or consciousness of blessings. Only by Krishna's mercy, only we could understand this the spiritual knowledge properly. Otherwise, it is impossible to understand by this human brains. Then how can we are in metal life, Maharaj? How can we understand these things which can penetrate our hearts?
Yes, that we can understand this knowledge. Krishna says through devotion. But the problem is we don't have devotion. But he made the arrangement because in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says dat Vinapana Partner Pariprashna Sevya Protection Tekam Jnana Stattvadakshan. He tells us to serve and a goal, accept the goal, serve him, inquire from him, following his instructions. If we are doing that, then Krishna will give us realization, realized knowledge. That because philosophical knowledge or just theoretical knowledge is useless, because at the time of death you lose that. But the knowledge you realize, you take with you. 240 Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that a little progress on this path, there will be no diminution. That, and it protects you against the greatest danger. That is so. Yes, if we realize in the purpose, if we realize 2% in this life, next life we will start with 2%. And how that happens, that's explained in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. You will take birth in a family of transcendentalists, and you will be automatically attracted to the yogic principles. And very soon you will come again to that point of where you left off in previous life. And you see, sometimes devotees join our movement and they make very quickly advancement. But then it starts to become difficult. They went to the point of previous life and then they have to progress again. So that is a reality that it's normally the process of devotional service, Srila Rupa Goswami says, is a process that goes over many, many births. But Srila Bhaktivinoda Saraswati Maharaj and Prabhupada, they urge us to make it in this life and become very serious. And it's possible if you are very serious in devotional service. But if you have time, yes, no problem. Krishna is also time. So, Anandita, please.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for touching upon this point. My question is that you mentioned that to whatever degree we have progressed in our previous life, so when we take up Krishna consciousness in this life, we progress very fast and we are very inclined for Krishna consciousness. But after attaining that level, the progress sometimes goes down, or max of the time goes down. Why does it happen, Maharaj? We should progress further. Why do we stop or we lag then?
Mostly that comes because of lack of taste. We don't have the taste. And why don't we have the taste? It can be many reasons. Usually the reasons is offenses or not practicing the process properly. Practicing the process properly, Bhakti Maharaj told us always to practice the process properly. You must do 4 things every day. Chanting your rounds with attention, then follow the regulative principles, of course. And then perform service for the spiritual master, Krishna. And the 4th thing is hear the Bhagavatam. If we do these 4 things every day, we are safe. If we miss one of these 4, we are in danger. That's the first point we have to check. Checklist. Check that. If one is missing, that's a cause of losing taste. Another reason is offenses, especially the 10 offenses. If you make these offenses, especially to Vaishnavas, you lose taste. A third aspect that I could say, that is, we can analyze through the scriptures what's the cause of taste. Sutta Goswami speaks about the cause of taste. He says in the 2nd chapter of the 1st canto, Shushusho Shadadansya Vasudev Kataruchisyan Matsevyavipa Punyatirtan Shivanat. It says, Sususha Shadadanasya. You should hear the Bhagavatam with care and attention every day. And you should Mahat Sevya. You should serve the mission of the spiritual master. You must do both things. So, hear the Bhagavatam with attention and serve the mission of Srila Prabhupada. This month is book distribution marathon. Do something for Prabhupada every day, something extra. And that combination with hearing and hearing from pure devotees, from Prabhupada, from other devotees who are advanced, that produces taste. I call this a taste-giving verse. And when you get taste, Krishna reciprocates. He enters your heart and purifies your heart. When Krishna sees that we have taste for hearing about him, then he enters our heart and he purifies, start to take away all the unwanted things in your heart, and we get more taste. So these are ways to evaluate yourself from the scriptures. Does that help?
Yes, Maharaj, thank you so much for touching upon all the points, especially the book marathon part, and please Prabhupada. Thank you. Please bless me so that I can do this.
Yeah, we need all blessings. May Srila Prabhupada bless you all. Any other question? Then we will continue tomorrow with the first mantra. We will try to do the first 2, 3. Because we will see tomorrow, we have different sets of verses who go together and why they are going together. So the Srila Prabhupada said there's a clear structure that, and it's it brings out amazing things. We'll see. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Jai Prabhupada.
Thank you so very much, Maharaj. Please sit.
Thank you so much, Maharaj.